Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Today is Friday, June the 5th. Overall markets ended up rebounding nicely yesterday, followed up by a pretty big drop here in the pre-market. Once again, Qs leading the way towards the downside. SPY, not quite not quite at our previous day lows. SMH, similar thing here as well. We'll kind of talk about this a little bit more on the higher time frames, but you can see markets starting to show a little bit of weakness. Some more pops are being shorted specifically for this week. The Qs, we do have a little bit more room towards the downside on the higher time frames, but right, we're still bullish, of course, on the higher time frames. But yeah, let's go on to the charts. Before we do that, let me pull up the economic calendar. What's up, everyone? Good morning. Good morning, Kelvin, Victor. Good morning, P1B Roots. Good morning, Maria, Lamit, Robert, Knight. What's up, Wisdom? Vate. Good morning, Andy, Martin, Cinna, Z Norris. What's up, Val? Kevin, J Tan. Yeah, what's up, everyone? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. All right. Let's go on to the economic calendar. Coming to market open, we do have some red folder news to keep an eye out for. Average hourly earnings, that's going to be at 8:30, non-farm enrollment, and then we have the unemployment rate here as well. So we'll go over some charts, and then in about 20 minutes, we are gonna have some red folder news. So we'll develop our game plan from there. All right, first things first, let's talk about the higher time frame. So I think that's going to be key. We can put on some of the moving averages, the 9 and 21 as well. I do have a YouTube video coming out on Sunday talking about more so swing trading. So that's going to be a good video. Keep an eye out for that. But let's talk about this on the daily chart. So as you can see, if we actually go into the SPY, the key levels for the ES, you can see we end up holding this level yesterday, which was our 75.20. This is our previous all-time highs. This is our retest level here for the ES for continuation towards the upside. As you can see, nice buyers are stepping in yesterday. Nice strong candle close right off that previous all-time highs here as well. Now what we like to see for the ES is really maintain above this higher low for a continued push back up in towards our all-time highs, which is that 76.40. If you're looking at this on the NQ, we actually have a little bit more room towards the downside back down in towards this previous all-time highs, right? That is our down close candle. That is our higher low here on the daily. So that's why you can see the Qs is a little bit more weaker so far. Yesterday, we had a nice bounce off the 9, followed up by today. Currently, we're underneath our previous day highs. So for the NQ and the QQQ, we can make a higher low off kind of this 9 EMA for a push back up in towards our all-time highs. Or if we want to show a little bit more weakness, the markets could very much well come all the way back down in towards that 29,750, build a higher low off this level for that push back up in towards our all-time highs here as well. So for the for the QQQ coming to market open, the levels that I have marked out is going to be this previous all-time highs, 720. Other levels that we have marked out here as well is this 730. So as I mentioned, we could see a bounce here off that 730, or if we have a deeper retracement, we can see a dip all the way back down in towards that 720 for a continued push back towards upside. If we go on to the hourly time frame here today, one of the key levels I'm personally going to have marked out, let's actually remove some of these drawings, but really the main thing here is going to be this 736. So as you can see, this is the key level yesterday. Once we're able to reclaim back above, we end up having a nice push up in towards our previous day lows and closer to this gap fill here as well. Now, as you can see, we're dropping in the after hours and in the pre-market. So coming to market open, one of the key levels that we're going to have marked out today is going to be our previous day lows. So we can mark out this general area. We also have other key levels here as well, but previous day lows and this pre-market low so far, if we want to see continuation or a potential bounce, right, we need to see the basically break underneath, reclaim back above 732 for a push up in towards that 736. Today, if the markets do want to maintain weakness underneath our previous day lows, we can be looking for this previous day low rejection for a push down in towards that 730 along with our 725 here on the higher time frame. So, as I mentioned, the markets, there is more room towards the downside here on the Qs, really back down in towards that 725 and that 720. So potentially we could be looking for some shorts today underneath our previous day lows. If the markets, as I mentioned, want to drop, retest underneath our previous day lows, we can be looking for some sort of short setup for a move down in towards that 725 off that previous day low level. So that's what we have for the Qs coming into market open. If we go on to the SPY chart, you can see the SPY is fairly bullish here. Key levels that we have marked out is that 750, basically bounce right off that key retest level that we had marked out, or right off that 9 EMA. So now for SPY, what we like to see is the reaction that we have really now off that previous day low. So currently, you can see the Qs is a little bit weaker than the SPY, right? Qs underneath our previous day lows. SPY is currently above our previous day lows. Some of the levels that we have marked out today is going to be this 754. So our 754 is the area that we reclaimed yesterday for a nice push towards the upside. Now this is our key level here as well. If we break back underneath, we can see a potential flip for a push down in towards our previous day lows in this 750 here on the higher time frames. If we break back above the 754, hold above the 754, we can see room back up and towards that 750, 755 and above. I am leaning a little bit more towards the downside coming to market open, just because this Qs, as you can see in the pre-market, underneath our previous day lows. So we're just going to keep an eye out on the reaction here off our previous day lows coming into market open. Based off the higher time frames here as well, the best scenario would be if we could see some sort of pullback down in towards that 720. You can also see we have a mini daily gap here as well. So honestly, the 720 retest would be perfect for right buyers looking for this higher low on the daily time frame, and this would be the next higher low as well. So that's going to be your key level for the Qs. We'll see if we can get that push towards the downside coming into today. As for the SMH, this one, as you can see here on the daily time frame, we had a very small daily gap. Nice buyer stepped in as well, right off that 610. Nice strong candle close, but right now we're opening right back at the 610 area. So for the SMH coming to market open, some of the levels that I have marked out is just going to be this 604 along with this 610 here on the higher time frames. Key levels today, as you can see, the SMH reclaim, nice push towards the upside. Today as well, if we can get that reclaim once again, push back up in towards that 620. Or another possible scenario, the bounce here off that 605. So two scenarios for the SMH. If you want to see some downside on some of the semiconductors, if we're looking at this on the hourly time frame, key level is going to be basically this area right here, 610. This is our hourly higher low. As you can see yesterday, we kind of still maintain structure on the hourly time frame. If we flip back underneath this 600, then I'm going to be more prone to some downside here, and then potentially you could be looking for some sort of short setup for a move back down towards that 600 and below. So the SMH, keep an eye out on basically our previous day lows in the 610. That's going to be very key for the overall market. So if you go into the Qs here as well, kind of similar thesis, right? We kind of were building up higher lows on the hourly time frame. Yesterday, we kind of overshot it, but reclaimed back above. So still technically valid structure on the hourly chart. But now since we're breaking back underneath, right, we could see a little bit more downside, as I mentioned, coming to market open. So it looks a little bit more heavy now. And then for the SPY, right, this one still kind of reclaim one of the key levels yesterday, which was at 754. Now, if we break back underneath, then we can see this flip for a push towards the downside. So keep that in mind for the overall markets coming into today. As for the IWM is still holding up very nicely. We kind of talked about daily higher lows are being built on this ticker. As you can see, nice buyers stepping in. Right now, we're closer inside of this range. What we like to see is the push up in towards our 292 for continuation. If you want to see some upside, key level is going to be that previous day high. So you can just draw at this range If you want to see a break above this 292 for continuation towards the upside. All right, with that being said, let's go on to some tech names. We have about 13 minutes until some red folder news. So if you guys do have any charts or any tickers, you guys can now drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop a like. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below here as well. um, let's see. How do you get these levels? The levels are just old highs and old lows. If you want the exact levels or you want to know exactly how to draw them, you can join the free daily watch list. I have like a full video talking about exactly how I draw my levels that is posted in the Telegram. Let's see. Is your window not open this morning? Yeah, it's not opened. Tell me about Tesla dump today. Yeah, Tesla just kind of consolidating. We'll talk about this one a little bit more. We have the SpaceX IPO coming up here as well. So that's something to keep in mind next week. As for Tesla coming into today, really not too much to talk about. We kind of still have this trend line drawn out. Some buyers are stepping in. If Tesla breaks underneath, right, we could see a bigger push towards the downside here. So keep that in mind on Tesla underneath that 410. If we bounce off the bottom of this wedge pattern, we could see a push back up in towards that 430. But overall, Tesla, a little bit more consolidation coming to this week, tighter range here as well. Key levels that we have marked out is just going to be that previous day low level 416. Other levels is that 424. If you do want to see some upside above that 424 for continuation, for Tesla, the bounce play here off that 416 for continuation towards the upside as well. Downside on Tesla is going to be the rejection off 424, or now we're going to be looking for the break underneath previous day lows, hold underneath previous day lows for continuation lower. Tesla kind of in between the range, so not too much to talk about on this one. Let's talk about Nvidia. So Nvidia, we had some nice buyers stepping in right off our previous all-time highs. This is a really key level on the higher time frames. So for Nvidia, just right at a key technical level, 212, some nice buyers are stepping in. But overall, Nvidia, what are we going to form? We're going to form something like this, right? Preferably the hold above that 215 consolidation and then potentially the break towards the upside. If we break underneath that 210, then I'm not as bullish on Nvidia. I'm going to be a little bit more cautious, but basically that 210 is going to be a key level on the higher time frames, of course. If you're marking this out, some of the levels that we have is going to be our earnings high. Let's just get rid of this. Some of the levels that we have marked out is the earnings high. We have our earnings low marked out. Other levels that we have marked out here as well is our previous day lows. So for Nvidia, yesterday, rejection right off the bat, reclaim later into this session. Nice push towards the upside. Actually rejected right off the area that we broke down from. And now we're back in between really its previous day's range here. So for Nvidia, key level is going to be this 215. If we want to see some upside potential bounce off that 215, the reclaim back above that 218 for continuation, break underneath that 215, push down in towards our 211 here on the higher time frames. Nvidia, you want to be a little bit more patient on, but key level is going to be that 215, which is our Wednesday's lows. Let's talk about AMD. AMD here on the higher time frames. This is one of the names that got bought up yesterday, kind of bouncing right off that 9 EMA. But as for AMD, this one is still very much intact for continuation. If we are unable to break back above this 523, we could see a little bit weaker price action, potentially this inverse head and shoulders this inverse head and shoulders here on the hourly time frame is technically potentially setting up here if we break back underneath that previous day lows. But as for AMD, this one still valid on the hourly time frame. Higher lows are being built. So if we can break underneath that previous day lows, as I mentioned, we can see a potential flip here on AMD, right? Potential head and shoulders here on the hourly chart. If we still maintain above that hourly higher low, get back above this 520, right, that would just invalidate this head and shoulders for a pushback up in towards our all-time highs. So key levels that we have marked out coming into today is going to be that 504. And then we also have that 528 as well. So for AMD, if we want to see some upside, we'd like to see the break above that 525 for continuation towards the upside, or the bounce play here off that 500. If you want to see some downside, right, the longs at least preferably above that 525. If you want to see some downside on AMD, the potential break underneath this 500 previous day lows for continuation down in towards that 490. AMD is probably one of the last tickers I'm interested in some short side. There's some other names that are a lot weaker than AMD, but it is in play if we can get underneath our previous day lows. Let's talk about Apple. Apple's still holding up with the overall markets dropping here. We're consolidating a bit more, but Apple, as you can see now, a little bit more consolidation right around this like 308. So nice push towards the upside. We're still above our 9 EMA here on Apple. Key levels that we have marked out is just going to be this like 315. We also have our 314 marked out here for Apple. As I mentioned, we're just consolidating a little bit more. You can kind of just draw this out. Potential flat top break forming here on the hourly chart. We needed to see above 314 if we do want to see continuation towards the upside. Key levels that we can have marked out is going to be, let's just mark this. Key levels on Apple, we can have this marked out, is going to be that 314. So if we want to see some upside above our previous day highs, above 314 on the higher time frames as well. Google, we had a nice bounce on Google right off that daily gap. So buyers are stepping in right off a key level here, which is at 350, kind of this general area you can have marked out. As for Google, if we're looking at this on the weekly time frame, buyers are stepping in right off this 9 EMA on the weekly as well. So for Google, we could see a little bit of a deeper retracement back down in towards that 350, but this is kind of the general area I like to see bounce. It could bounce right before it. We could dig a little bit deeper into that 350 for continuation, but regardless, right, I'm fairly bullish on Google. Yesterday, we had a nice strong candle close back above its previous candle high. So now let's see if Google can potentially reverse back towards the upside. 380 is the area that we broke down from. At least for intraday, key levels that we have coming into market open, and the key levels that we had yesterday was our previous day highs. Other levels that we can have marked out now as well is going to be our previous day highs, along with basically the area that we broke down from. So you can have this level marked out 370. You can see touch here, touch yesterday. If you want to see some upside above our previous day highs, continuation up in towards our 375. Another possible long is going to be offer 362 for continuation back towards the upside here as well. Shorts in Google are in play. If we get that some sort of pop and fade coming to market open, offer 370 for a push down towards that 360. Or if we had a big drop within the first 5 minutes, you can keep an eye out on that 360 underneath our 362 for a push down in towards that previous day lows here, 354. As for Microsoft, this one and a couple software names, we're showing a little bit of strength in the pre-market. Right now for Microsoft, we're basically building up daily higher lows. What we like to see, as I mentioned, is the reclaim back above for continuation. As for Microsoft, yesterday, showing a little bit of buyers in the pre-market, but just kind of faded towards the downside. Didn't really bounce with the markets overall bouncing here as well. Key levels for Microsoft is going to be that previous day lows. If we want to see some upside here, we need it back above that 432, or now it's going to be this bounce play here off that previous day lows for continuation towards the upside. As for a few other tickers, Meta, nice move towards the upside yesterday on Meta. Key levels, we are back above this range. And then you can see that nice reclaim setup pushed all the way back up and towards that 640. For Meta, this one is now still technically I would consider this a range. So we had a bigger range all the way back from May. And now you can see we kind of established this new range that we have marked out, which is from our 600 to that 640. I would like to see Meta continuation, number one above our 620, and then number two now above that 640 for any sort of push towards the upside. This daily chart isn't really clear in my opinion. It actually looks like it's consolidating more than anything. So for Meta, we need to see the break above our previous day highs. That's going to be key if we want to see any sort of continuation towards the upside. Above our 640 is going to be key. Right now, we could see the bounce off our 622 coming to market open for a push back up in towards our 630 and potentially our previous day highs here on Meta. As for Amazon, this one breaking underneath a couple key areas. We're still bullish on the weekly time frame, but now the daily kind of breaking underneath key levels, not as bullish to be honest on Amazon. We're starting to slow down here as well. So for Amazon, key levels is going to be that 250. We want to see some sort of bounce play or now the reclaim back above 260 for a push towards the upside. Netflix, this one just continue to drop. So that being said, we have about 2 more minutes until some red folder news events. I went over all the Mag 7 names and a few other tickers here, and then we'll head on to some other charts after this red folder news. So if you guys do have any charts or any tickers, you guys can now drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, appreciate if you guys drop a like. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below as well. Read cash for yesterday's market too. No, I took a couple day trades. No overnight positions in the markets. Now the next best buying opportunity is going to be right this previous all-time highs here on the NQ. Right, we have kind of this down close candle. If the markets can pull back, that would be fantastic. Maybe later today or maybe coming into next week for a continuation higher. Right now, you can see the ES is bouncing off our previous all-time highs. So if the ES can come back down, right, maybe still hold this area for continuation higher when the Qs is dropping, right, that would be your next best buying opportunity. Right, we were up about like 7 or I think this was like 8 days in a row on the major indices. So a mini pullback was valid, but now you can see we're still very much bullish on the overall market. So any major dip that we do get on the indices, maybe coming to like the next major news catalyst, which is this SpaceX IPO. That is next week. If I'm not mistaken, that's going to be on the 12th. So that is going to impact the market. We'll see how that's going to be pretty big. So we'll talk about that a little bit more on the weekly outlook for next week. Let me pull up the economic calendar here as well. Google just kept climbing. What is the red folder news? And the red folder news is any major news catalyst that can potentially impact the market. So it's about to come out right here. You can search up Forex Factory on Google and it should pull it up. Please Jackets and Moomoo app still good despite the IBKR. Both of them are good, right? I personally like IBKR. Moomoo's good. There's a lot of other brokers. You have Charles Schwab, you have Robinhood, Webull. In my opinion, the best one or one of the main ones is going to be IBKR. If you're interested, right, low commissions, right? I'm not even affiliated with IBKR, but it's something I've been using for a very long time and just something I'm just going to continue using. Just tight spreads, best fills. You do pay commission, but usually it makes up for it, right? If you're trading Robinhood, Webull, unless you're playing super cheap contracts, it's best to most likely trade on a broker that there's good customization, plus the spreads are pretty tight. Okay, we had some news come into the markets. As you can see, we're actually having a little bit of reaction currently right off this previous day low level on the QQQ. So let's go back onto this. Basically, average hourly earnings month over month came in as forecasted. Non-farm enrollment change. Look at these numbers here. Forecasted 85, actual 172. So came in a lot higher than expected. Unemployment rate came in line with expectations. Overall markets, currently we are getting a little bit of reaction here off that previous day lows. So for the QQQ coming to today, getting a little bit of reaction here off that previous day lows. This is going to be the key level coming to market open. As I mentioned, if we pop fade off this area, we can be looking for some sort of shorting opportunity off that 732 for a continued push towards the downside. A reclaim back above, we can see a move back up in towards the 735. As for SPY, key level is this level right here, 734. Break underneath, continuation down now in towards that that previous day lows and potentially below here as well. So those are the levels coming into market open. SMH right at our previous day lows here as well. So coming to market open now, let's see if we can get some sort of previous day low bounce for a continuation towards the upside. Now, with that being said, let's go on to some of the names. The main thing was, of course, AVGO yesterday. We had earnings, of course, a little bit of reaction just right off our key area, which happened to be our 405. So for AVGO, nice bounce kind of right off that earnings low. Some buyers stepped in yesterday, and right now we're right back at that 404. Keep an eye out on AVGO today. As I mentioned, a lot of the moves have been happening day 2 after earnings. Let's keep an eye out on an AVGO short underneath that 404. If the markets want to drop AVGO right into a key level of support, look at how many touches we've had on this 409, right? As you can see, multiple touches, AVGO weakness underneath that 409 for a potential day trade coming to market open. Going to be one of my main watches today. Right underneath that 409, look for potential room towards the downside, right? Scenario would be looking for a short underneath previous day lows for a flush down in towards 400, potentially like 390s here on the higher time frame. So that's going to be the scenario on AVGO here today. If we come down, right, buyers step in immediately and we reverse back towards the upside, then of course it wouldn't be valid. But AVGO, if we do want to see weakness, drop, stays heavy, and we see any pop being shorted, we can look to take this towards the downside for a mini scalp and potential continuation, just because, as I mentioned, we are breaking underneath a very key level support here. So if it drops, we could see some continuation down towards that 390, and then maybe it might bounce like later into the day for a reclaim. But this first initial push towards the downside is something we can look to capture. So keep an eye out on AVGO here today. Oracle, a lot of these names are just dropping here in the pre-market. Palantir, MU, down yesterday. So I went for the short yesterday on MU, kind of down in towards that daily gap fill. Now we're seeing a little bit more spillage here as well. So for MU, we filled this daily gap that we created. Now the next key levels towards the downside is going to be underneath our previous day lows. So for MU, this is kind of that daily higher low I wanted to see, or sorry, that hourly higher low I wanted to see be set for continuation. You can see nice buyer stepped in. But ultimately, right, shorts were being, pots were being shorted, and now we're actually underneath this 980. So for MU now, it's staying a little bit more heavy underneath our previous day lows. We can see room down in towards our 900. So any pops down in towards that 900 coming into today. Let's just get rid of a couple levels here. So for MU, key levels on the higher time frames, or at least the next key levels, is going to be down in towards your 900. Other levels that we can have marked out is going to be this 944. So MU, right, we'll keep an eye out on that previous day lows, potential previous day low pop and fade down in towards that 900, or maybe some sort of short scenario down in towards or underneath our pre-market lows for a push down in towards that 900 here as well. SNDK, a little bit of a reaction. Key level here is going to be that previous day lows. Keep an eye on SNDK bounce off 1680. Intel right at our key level support. Intel has just been hanging on by a thread, right? As you can see, we kind of have this mini daily wedge pattern forming. Some buyers are stepping in off this area. If we break underneath our 105, that's going to be a sign for some more weakness down in towards our 100. I do like Intel a lot though on the weekly time frame. I like to see this like 9 EMA bounce. So preferably this would actually be the best case scenario is Intel drops down in towards 100, buyers step in, and then we end up reversing back towards the upside. So for Intel, we very much well could potentially show a little bit more weakness today underneath our previous day lows. Maybe you have a bigger move towards the downside and then eventually reclaim for a push back up in towards the highs. But as for Intel today, keep an eye on our previous day lows. This is a very key level. We've bounced here multiple times. So the break underneath now, that 106, there's some more room towards the downside here on Intel. So keep this in mind coming into market open. WDC is dropping. Basically, everything's dropping here coming into today. Even Marvel showing a little bit of weaker price action. Marvel is actually probably the only ticker that's holding up compared to the overall markets, but even this one is pulling back in the pre-market. As for Marvel, key levels that you like to see hold now is just kind of this previous day low area. If the markets do bounce, Marvels should be one of your main watches for continuation towards the upside. Now you like to see potentially form this kind of flat top break for this continuation towards the high. So we'll keep an eye on Marvel. This one is really the only ticker that's holding up with the overall markets dropping. So this is something we can look for upside. As for everything else, as I talked about, dropping here in the pre-market. So we're going to keep an eye out on that previous day lows. As for a few other tickers, kind of quickly go over a few other ones. I went over AVGO. SNDK spread is bad. So what to do? Just don't trade it. There's too much. I wouldn't say it's untradeable, but SNDK very little volume. Spreads are very wide. Premiums are super expensive. It just honestly doesn't make sense to trade something like a SNDK. There's a lot of better other names to trade out there, and you don't have to worry about the spreads and everything else. Palantir, let's go over this name. Palantir key levels, we kind of just rejected off, as I mentioned, the top of the range. Now, most likely, it seems we're going to come all the way back down in towards the bottom of the range. I would like to see some buyers step in off this 140, right? That's kind of the consolidation that we've had. As you can see, consolidation, breakout towards the upside. Now we're coming all the way back down. Let's see if we can bounce here off that 140 for continuation back towards the upside. Dell, I do like here as well, but with the overall markets dropping, you have to be a little bit more cautious. Dell's in a very key spot, right? Kind of this daily gap. The 90 EMA is right here, so maybe if we can break underneath, undercut, reclaim back towards the upside. That would be in play here on Dell, but key levels you're just going to mark out is this 406. So you like to see some sort of bounce play here off this 406. It does seem like right now probably going to break underneath that 406. Now we like to see some sort of reclaim later into the day for a push back towards the upside. And then you can look for, right, still the exact same trade thesis, right? Once we sweep that level, reclaim, push back towards the highs. DRAM, as you can see, a little bit of a pullback. We had this mini daily gap, so that's why some of the memory names are pulling back. For the DRAM, key levels that we have marked out is technically this daily higher low is our 57. We can set a daily higher low as long as we're above our 57. That's going to be key. We can bounce here off our 60. We can come all the way back down in towards our previous all-time highs, right? That's kind of where that 21 EMA is. I personally would like to see this kind of be our daily higher low, right? This 60 area for that continued push back towards the upside. So DRAM key level is going to be our, if we go into the hourly time frame, some of the levels that we can have marked out is our 63, which we bounced from yesterday. Other levels that we can have marked out is going to be our 60 key psych level here as well. So a couple bounce areas, right? 6140s or even off our 60 for a pushback towards the upside. Yeah, that's going to be it for me today, at least coming to market open. There's not really too many top watches that I'm interested in. We're going to be open and playing both sides just because the overall markets are dropping here as well. Not too many things to keep an eye out for. The main thing, of course, is the Qs, rejection, pop and fade, continuation towards the downside, reclaim. We can see a push up in towards that 736. Based off the Q's reaction, we're going to keep an eye out on a couple of these tickers here. Some of my main watches I do like is AVGO, right? Day after earnings. Keep an eye out on this one underneath our previous day lows, as I mentioned, continuation towards the downside. So AVGO, keep an eye out on this one for some more weakness underneath that 404. As for everything else, we're coming down into a key level support. So shorts, if you are interested in shorting, be very cautious. It's more of a scalp trade because the higher time frames is kind of coming down into a key level support. So shorts are more so scalp trades. If you're trading long positions, make it more longer term day trades or even swing trades back towards the upside, right? Don't expect too much momentum towards the upside until we can at least minimum reclaim back above our previous day lows here on the Qs. So I'm going to keep an eye on AVGO. That's probably going to be my main watch today for potential weakness. As for everything else, as I mentioned, we're just going to keep an eye out on key levels, maybe MU weakness underneath our previous day lows, or even Intel underneath their previous day lows. And then if the markets do want to bounce, right, Marvel is going to be one of our main watches. This one holding up, bounced yesterday nicely. Marvel back above 310 for a continuation towards the upside. As I mentioned, some sort of potential kind of like flat top break forming here, or even this like wedge pattern you can kind of have drawn out here on Marvel. But yeah, that's going to be it for me today. It's just a bunch of moving averages. The indicators are moving averages, VWAP, and literally just things that say what ticker it is. So yeah, that's going to be it for me today. I'm going to get ready for market open here now. If you guys did enjoy that, appreciate if you guys drop a like and sub. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below. YouTube video coming out tomorrow. That's going to just be a recap on my second channel. And then of course on Sunday, I'm going to have a more of a swing trading video. So that one's going to be nice. That's going to come out on Sunday. But yeah, with that being said, hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy your weekend. All right, take care, everyone. Have a great rest of the day. Peace.